Radiating from the Lone Star State and stretching from coast to coast and border to border, this is On Radio, the weekly download from your family of companies: CMS Wireless, Enertech, ET Tower, Legacy, and Mountain Wireless. Welcome to On Radio.
So when you were, forgive the expression, but when you were a kid, you ended up with someone who was quite a bit older than you, actually working for you, reporting to you. How did that go?
Well, it's a tough challenge. It's a mutual respect situation, and everybody comes with a specific background and strengths. And I have mine, and I'm well aware of my weaknesses too. And that's one of the excellent parts about working with other people is, especially if they're older, they have a better perspective on many things. You know, you can leverage that if you're younger, so long as you're respectful and you understand that value that person brings can be used and can be leveraged. It's definitely not an issue. And I've had great experiences with people, you know, who are older than me, who are younger than me, people I can learn something from, people who can learn something from me. It makes it all, when put together, it just makes for the best experience. It's not just a job, but it's something you get to do every day.
I've watched a lot of people who've been in that position, in that role, because in a new industry, you've got this new technology that assimilates well to people who are new in the industry. Because what just came out yesterday, everybody's learning at the same pace. And frankly, people who are younger than me learn a lot faster than me. And so I have to put on that coat of humility. But when you're young, it's harder, but you did that. And I even as I watched you on a panel, I mean, you were there with some folks speaking on this like high and mighty panel, like all these smart people. And it just dawned on me that, wow, I watched you with a knowledge base that's far superior. Just defer to them and then help them understand, not with correction, but with quantifying what the actual facts were. So, man, I don't give them out easy, but there's a salute. So, you moved from climber to kind of top hand to foreman, and then you went to you kind of went to a lead position with clients, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's definitely a progression that we have in this industry, and that's for a reason. You have to know where you came from to know where you're going. We've talked, Jim, a lot about history, about things that, you know, where we've come from, not just in industry, but also in technology. It helps us understand where we're going, but personal growth does the same thing. And taking that crawl, walk, run perspective is really important, because we don't have, since we move so fast, we can't directly use just this is the way it's always been done. What we have to do is build those soft skills that say, I understand how the world changes and I understand my place in it. And the better that you get at doing that kind of stuff, the sky is the limit for how you can leverage that professionally.
And that's true for everybody at the Ontivity companies. It's not isolated to RF engineering or anything like that. It's just every part of what we do. So when you move forward now you've gone from a family business that where the decision chains are really short and immediate, and what you do has an impact like on the client today. and now you move to a carrier world. Wow, that was like going from, you know, track shoes to rubber boots, I bet.
That was a different world. You know, when you're in a small business, every dollar counts. And when you're with the carrier, every minute counts. I had the advantage of working in a new organization within an old company. It was a 2-year-old division of a 100-year-old company. And it was still the Wild West. We still had the opportunity to make our own way. And really, you get to use that family business. I get to make decisions as if they were my own decisions. I have the interest of my company at heart, because that's how I've been raised. However, once things start to stabilize and processes start to get built, that was where the learning really comes in. That's where you really learn about how truly big these organizations and the networks that they support really are. And then you start to learn your limitations on what you can do.
Yeah, it kind of removes some of the entrepreneurial zeal that at Ontivity we're kind of, it's one of our earmarks is we don't want to look like a big company. We want to act like a small company and be and just face it, control the world. So in the wireless world anyway. So that really that small business and then large business that really fostered you a mentality that says, "Hey, I'm going to go to Mountain Wireless now, and I'm going to make a difference by fill in the blank."
I'm going to make a difference by helping these big companies act like little ones by proxy. That's,
Yeah.
like you said, that's what we do at Ontivity. That's what we did at the companies before they were, and that's what Ontivity has done a great job of preserving, is the ability to help a customer solve problems that they themselves cannot solve. They don't have tower
Yeah.
crews. They don't have enough boots on the ground. That's by design, but that doesn't
Uh-huh.
relieve the need of somebody doing that work, that precise work that we talked about.
Right. And the perspective that you have coming from small, large, small, and now we're moving to large again, how has that prepared you for the next step?
That's it, the roller coaster of understanding business structures and business strategy. A lot of those things have really come in, and it helps you focus. I think that going from small to big to small to big to and keeping that perspective that we can really still act small but be big, or at least try to put something in the middle where there's a happy medium that we can have, optimize for the economies of scale that we can do as a large company, but not forgetting that it all boils down to what every single individual is doing in the field that day. Those are the things that drive this forward, not just big business. Big business is made of small decisions and small actions, and we don't want to lose sight of that. We want to make sure that we maintain that understanding, that foundation of what we're doing every day, but in the greater context of what our industry is doing, where we're going to chase it this
Mm.
year, 3 years down the road, what we think is going to happen then, and what decisions we need to make now to be successful for it.
And one of the things I've noticed in particular, not only about Mountain, but about you personally, is you're always striving to put the needs of the employees first. And I credit Ryan a little bit with that. I credit AT&T not very much with that, but I credit your dad a lot with that.
Mm-hmm.
And Randy Hansen too. Talk to me about why it's important to you to keep the needs of the employees out in front of everything we do.
Well, first of all, they're the ones who are doing it. I mean, if we ran out of employees tomorrow, even if we still kept a couple of key players, it wouldn't matter because we couldn't do
Yeah.
the things that our customers need us to do.
I choose not to climb tomorrow, just so you know. It's wintertime here. And
Exactly. Likewise here, it's awful cold, and I don't want to be on a tower. And so I need to make sure that there are guys that are willing to do that and willing to see that we all came from that. We've all put in our time, and that it's
yeah,
valuable time right now. The work that you do, even if you think it's meaningless, even if you don't like it, we've all taken our lumps. We've all done that. I've cleaned toilets just like everybody else, and I chose to see. Or I was offered the opportunity to see the value in that. A lot of
yeah,
that did happen as I'm growing up, learning the technical side of this industry, but also learning how to mow the lawn, how to, fix the sprinklers when they're frozen up. All of those soft skills of just knowing that your work has value regardless of what it is, but it is only what you make of it. And then also another thing is, somebody once told me, actually, one of my former managers once told me that you really need two things in any successful business relationship, and that's you need a mentor and you need an advocate. And especially in a bigger company, those are the two things you really need. As we get bigger, we always need to know that we can be somebody's mentor, we can be somebody's advocate, and that's what I really want to do with my team and the people I'm working with. My team supports a greater team where our services is a small portion, but we're working with every single crew in the company, and we are doing work on their behalf. So I'm basically contracting to other parts of the company. So my customer is my own company in a sense. But we really want to make sure that we have that my team, I want to make sure that the guys that work with me, that they have a mentor and an advocate in me, not just one or the other.
Yeah. And to your point, I would encourage all the people out there who are riding around in a crew tuck today, to select a mentor. Don't just say, gee, I don't have a mentor. Look around and say, I think that person has it together. So I'm going to ask them questions. I'm going to show interest in their life and what they do. And I'm going to ask them to jump on board as someone who can teach me, train me, cajole me, hold me accountable to standards that are high, but I don't know them yet. And so when you do that as a young person, you enable your own future, and everybody has a huge future here. So, one of the things that I see around our family of companies is the pressure on management that we place on ourselves to keep everybody busy during that 40-hour week, or during, we want to make sure that people have that ticket to the grocery store and make sure that their lives are better because they have a steady paycheck. Do you feel that pressure too?
I feel it every day, and it's not just that keeping them busy. Busy is something that a lot of us come by honestly. I could not sit idle if I wanted to. Some people, we really want to help them understand that busyness, but it's not just busyness, it's productivity. So that's another thing that I talk about with my team is
Bingo.
If you can't keep moving on what you're trying to do, as we know in this industry, stuff stops all the time. We don't have radios, or we don't have support from somebody that we need, but we now have an opportunity. We have downtime. We have a way to stay productive, maybe not on the particular job, but if you sit in a cell site and you start wondering what something is, you start wondering, where do these cables go? Or what's the difference between this and that? You have an opportunity to start looking around. We all have Google at our fingertips. If you got a little bit of downtime, go ask yourself some questions inside that cell site. Go do some research, or at least go write down those questions and find that mentor that you were looking for and go ask them those questions later. There's so many opportunities to learn. And so then that way we're not full of busy time. We're full of productive time. Even if you're not doing something that you went there to do, you go to a site and you can't do the thing you were there to do. Well, you can certainly do something, and it's definitely a lot more productive than just sitting and surfing TikTok.
Yeah, and back in the day when we didn't have TikTok and that evil Chinese thing, what we did have is mentors that came on as foremen. And I remember there was a guy by the name of Tom Finnerty, and I'm like, we lost our electricity. I was unable to weld, and he said, "So, do you not know how to run a shovel? Does the use of a broom escape your knowledge path? Get busy." And so when you talk about productivity, that productivity not only comes in physical, it comes in the mental. Like, you need to increase your knowledge base, because that's what creates value. That phone that you've got is actually a little bit of a mentor too. So when we look at mountains, I'm going to talk about mountains specifically. We just did a podcast with some green beans, and Ryan Hansen brought up something that resonates, or should resonate, with every part of our business: striving for excellence so that you create a career path. So what does that look like when you talk about your historical look, and as you paint a picture about the future for the people who are just coming in board? I mean, you grew up wireless, so you got some pretty cool stories. And how does that resonate with the people today?
Well, I think a lot of that focus comes in understanding that this is more than just a job, that this is a career. And even if you don't stay in wireless, there's so much to be learned that's cross-functional, that's going to be useful if you left. But I hope everybody doesn't leave. I love this industry. It's too much fun to leave. A lot of work, but far too much fun. Some of the things that really drive that, though, is all of the member companies are made up of all of the people that are in it. And we have all striven for excellence and achieved it And yesterday's excellence is what keeps us in work today. And
Yeah.
we have built that name. Marketing is important, but we don't serve that many customers. We're not,
Right.
we're not out to the public. Most of our growth is from doing good work for somebody, and that somebody telling somebody else. And we don't stop one day. We don't take a day off from that, whether we like it or not. This is actually one of my favorite things. Is I get good feedback from a customer, and I say, well, I really appreciate the feedback, but you just gave me a lot more work because I set my own bar and I set it
Yeah.
high, and I've got to make sure I stay up with it because I don't like coming in second place. And
That's awesome.
and we're not going to just sit still and let our work walk away from it, walk away from us. If we did, then we'd have nothing tomorrow. And so we
For
really
sure.
want to focus that career path, the personal career, is mirrored in the business strategy of do good work today, have an opportunity to do good work tomorrow.
Perfect is good enough. I'd like you to follow up because we could sit here and talk for hours about this. I just love this stuff, but we are on a clock. And so I'd like you to follow up with a story related to someone that you are particularly gratified by their behavior now because you mentored them.
Yeah. So I've used the phrase before that if I'm mentoring somebody, their goal is to be better at the job that we're discussing, better at the task at hand than I am.
Uh-huh.
And this is something that it's so gratifying with people with I hate to speak of them in a hierarchical relationship because I see it more that it's more like a big brother relationship. Truly,
Yeah, for
is
sure.
I have something that I can give them in the form of knowledge and opportunity, and let them run with it. And it's so gratifying and humbling to watch people succeed and know that you had a hand in it, but really it's their success, and
Oh,
you get to
yeah,
watch that, and you get to say, man, I don't know what I would do without this guy. He's too valuable to me. I can't imagine it living without him, but he's going places. And
yeah.
now,
Train your replacement.
yep, exactly. And the more replacements you train, the better that's going to. It pays dividends, on a personal level. It's not
Yeah,
just the business deal, but you're really having a hand in helping somebody else do things that they never thought they could do. And that
yeah.
kind of
And
that
then you
kind of
get to plan a
accomplishment.
vacation.
Yes, yes. Well, that's true. But the fact that people's success, watching people be successful, and knowing that you could have helped with that, that
Yeah,
that you gave them an opportunity that they really grasped and took and ran with, probably better than you could. It's
for
just such
sure.
an awesome feeling.
All right. Well, Activity family, I want you to know that we appreciate you, and for Eric Hudson, on behalf of him, I want to thank, for starters, Eric. Thanks for stopping by on radio. It's awesome to talk with you. But I want to thank you for chatting with the whole Activity family and pointing out that this is a career path, not just a job. And and I want to thank you for your insights about growing up wireless, because that's really cool. And he was here today because he chose safety every time. So remember, until next Thursday, let's all choose safety today. This is Jim, and I am out.